If you guys want to see some brand new Christmas in July DIYs, then just keep watching. Hello everyone, if you guys are new, my name's Liz, and for today's video, I have some brand new Christmas DIYs. We're doing Christmas in July this month. I have several new ones for you guys today. Some brand new Christmas inspiration that I think that you guys are going to love. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our brand new Christmas DIYs in July. For this DIY, we are going to grab one of those wooden 12-inch rounds that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I grabbed this Less Mess wood stain from Rust-Oleum. It has the sponge applicator and actually is pretty easy to use. Is it necessary? I don't know. And it's more expensive than just buying regular stain, but I had purchased it when I was doing my Walmart supplies only video. If you guys haven't watched that and you want to check it out, I'll leave it linked down below. But I just grabbed a whole bunch of stuff to do Walmart DIYs with. This was one of the things I grabbed, and it is pretty convenient, but it's probably just as easy to buy just regular stain. So I just stained the entire circle. Now I did do this DIY twice because the first time I made the white circle way too big. So I'm going to take this little wooden round that actually came from Walmart, and I'm going to use that as a template. And I'm going to take a white paint pen and trace around that circle. So you're kind of making a little bit more than half a circle on your sign. And then I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm just going to fill that circle in. We are making a little snowman head right here. Now you could absolutely just freehand this entire project. I am not so great when it comes to freehanding. My freehand skills are just not there. So I decided to break out my Cricut and cut this out. Now, if you have a Cricut, I will leave a link to this project in my description box so that you can click on it and just cut everything out. Now, I just cut out a carrot nose and some dots for his mouth, this saying, "Let it snow," and some snowflakes. So like I said, all of that will be on that link if you want to do this project. And I am just going to layer my carrot nose with the black and the orange and lay that down on top of my snowman. And then I'll take those little black dots that I also cut out for his mouth, and I'm just going to lay those down. And I just kind of do them like stickers. I just remove off the backing and place them where I want them to be. I also made a little cutout for his arm, and I just laid that down. I didn't have any kind of different colored brown vinyl for this, so even though it matches a little bit with the background, I feel like you can still see it pretty well against the brown background. But if you have a lighter brown, or if you just use a different stain, probably would work better. And I just get my transfer tape from Expressions Vinyl. I'll leave that linked down below. It's just this clear transfer tape. It's my personal favorite when it comes to transfer tape. And another piece of advice when you are doing this project, before you lay any of your vinyl down, I would seal your piece with some sort of sealant. I like using just matte Mod Podge, and I should have done that before, but that will make putting your vinyl onto your sign so much easier, because vinyl is not a fan of sticking to wood, and stained wood at that. So I always have a little bit of trouble getting my vinyl to stick if I haven't applied a sealant, and in this one I did not. So just make sure that you're sealing it beforehand, and that will save you a whole lot of trouble from trying to get your vinyl to stick to your sign. Now I'm going to take some ticking fabric, and I'm just going to tie a super simple bow. I just took 2 loops and tied them together like you would your shoelaces. Now the back is going to be forward on the front, and I just kind of flipped everything around so all the right sides were showing, and I just tied that into a small bow and dovetailed the ends. I also took some pieces off of this pick, hot glued that down to the very top, and then added my bow on top of that. And that is it for this DIY. Really simple and easy, and I think this turned out adorable. popping in real quick to let you know that I make and sell wood craft kits. I have a monthly subscription box if you'd like to check it out and have brand new crafts to DIY every single month, then click that link down below. For this DIY, I'm going to take this Farm Fresh Christmas tree cardboard bag that came from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut out the front of it. I want to be able to use this for a sign, so I just took my scissors, cut that out, and then to get some even and straight lines, I just took my X-Acto knife and went around all the sides to get those nice and straight. Next, I'm going to take these square dowels. They are 3/8 of an inch, and I just picked these up from Lowe's. I'm going to take several of those dowels, and I'm going to make a little frame to go around that sign. And I just measured out where they needed to be cut and took them out to my miter saw and cut those down. I'm going to use this easy stain again to stain all 4 of my frame pieces. And then I just took the original super glue wood glue that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and I adhered all 4 of my frame pieces together. I would say that it's easier to glue just your frame pieces around your sign without adding any glue to the middle portion at all, and then add some glue to the back would be the best way to get your piece to stick together. And that's it for this DIY. This was really easy, and I think this turned out so cute. For this DIY, all I'm going to do is take one of these chalkboard signs that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to stain it again in that easy stain from Walmart. I cut out this saying using my Cricut, and again, I'll have this project linked down below so that if you have a Cricut, you can go to it. But I just cut this out on some white vinyl. Using my Expressions Vinyl Clear transfer tape, I am going to put that on there and then transfer it onto my sign. And that's all you got to do for this one. Sometimes I think the simple, the better. You have, you know, your really cutesy decor, and you need some kind of simpler pieces to go along with it. So that is all you got to do for this DIY. Really quick, really easy, and I love this one. For this DIY, I'm going to take one of these wooden crates that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to start by painting the top, which is technically the bottom, but it's going to be the top, in my Waverly chalk paint in white. And then I also paint both of the sides in that same color. And then I'm also going to paint the middle slat in white as well. And I just took the leftover paint that was on one side because I went a little too heavy-handed on one side and just painted that middle slat on the front. Then I'll paint the top portion in red. This is the Barn Red from Dixie Belle. And then I took Waverly chalk paint in moss and painted the bottom slat. Now to seal all my piece and to make sure that the vinyl is going to stick, I'm just going to use some Mod Podge and coat the entire front. Now again, you don't have to use the vinyl if you don't want to. You could use some plain black stickers if you have them. I did not have the correct size, so it was easier for me to just cut this out using my Cricut. But like I said, if you have black stickers, you can easily do this DIY. So I just cut out Santa is Coming to Town, and I'm going to put that into 3 separate pieces. So Santa Claus is going to be on the very top, and I just kind of centered this towards the bottom of that red section and to the side. And I'm just going to put that on there, peel up that transfer tape, And then I'm just going to repeat those steps with the other 2 slots. So Santa is coming, and then the bottom is to town. And then I'm going to take some ribbon that is technically trim that I got from Walmart. I'm going to wrap this around my crate and glue the ends to the inside of the crate. Then I'll take some twine and wrap that around about 3 times around the crate on top of that trim. Tie it in a double knot so it stays in place. I took a piece of greenery and put the end underneath some twine and then tied a bow with some more Walmart trim and hot glued that to the very top where that end of that stem is. And that's it for this DIY. Really cute and fun and neutral colors, which I love, along with, you know, the green and the red. But I think this one turned out really cute. Really easy DIY. You're going to pick up a blank sign from Hobby Lobby. This was $14.99, but I did purchase it when it was on sale, so I think it was about 40% off. And I love that this is already stained and painted. I don't have to do any kind of changes. So if you're looking for DIYs that are really simple and easy and aren't going to take a ton of time, going over to Hobby Lobby and buying some of their wooden signs, I think is a super great deal. So I am going to be putting vinyl on top of this, and I want to make sure that my vinyl is going to stick because, like I said, vinyl just has a hard time sticking down to wood. So I like adding some sort of sealant on top of it, and using a matte Mod Podge works great. So I just go through with a sponge brush and add my Mod Podge and wait for that to dry. And then I purchased a design on Etsy. I'll link that design down below. But sometimes for me personally, spending maybe $2 or $3 on a design versus me having to spend hours designing it myself is 100% worth it. And sometimes my creative brain, when coming to designing things, it just isn't there. So I found this one and I thought this was so cute. So I am just going through and weeding this out. It says Christmas market and a bunch of little Christmas words at the bottom. I just thought it was adorable. Like I said, I'll leave a link to the design down below so that you can grab it if you'd like. But I just weeded the entire thing out, and you do have to be a little bit careful with some of the smaller words and the smaller dots. You just want to make sure that those aren't coming up when you're weeding your design. And then again, I'm just going to take my Expressions vinyl transfer tape, lay that down, and then peel that up, and just take your time making sure that everything is coming up on your transfer tape that should be. And then I just laid this down and eyeballed it as best as I could. You could also use some wax paper to help get this a little bit more straightened out if you wanted. And then I'm just going to burnish it with my burnishing Cricut tool, make sure that everything is nice and stuck down, and then remove my transfer tape. That's all you got to do for this DIY. Super easy. If you don't have a Cricut, you could always purchase the design and then do the carbon transfer paper method and use a black paint pen to fill in your design. Sometimes you just need a super simple and easy DIY, and I think this one turned out gorgeous. For this project, we are going to take one of Dollar Tree's ornament signs. I'm going to remove that metal piece from the top using a flathead screwdriver and then just prying it off with my hands. And then I'm going to take some Waverly white chalk paint, and I just flipped this over onto the back because the paper was not coming off on the front. So I'm using the back as the front for this project, and I'm going to give this a really rough coat of white paint. I don't really try to cover up absolutely everything, and I wanted some of that brown to peek through the paint. Now I'm going to grab this big ruler and leveler that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use this as a guide. I'm going to do some faux shiplap lines on here, and to create those, I just took a pencil and drew those lines, and I didn't want the lines to be super pronounced. So just using the pencil was good enough for me on this one. Next, I'm going to take some Waverly actually chalk paint in sandstone and in mineral, and I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing for both of them, just trying to rough this up a little bit, make it look a little bit more rustic and distressed. So I just did a combination of those two paints. The mineral is a little bit more on the cool side, where sandstone is a little bit more warm. So I'm adding a couple different dimensions by using both of those colors. Next, I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper, and just to go the extra level of distressing this, I wanted all the colors of the paint to kind of blend in together so they didn't just look like paint strokes on there, and just sanding it down a little bit gives it a nice smoother look. Then I'm just going to add some hot glue and add that metal piece back to the top of my sign. Now I grabbed this garland, and I want to say that this came from Hobby Lobby, and I cut a little bit of that off and made it into a circle, and I just twisted it into itself. I tried to make it look a little bit more thicker since this was a lot more thin of a garland piece. It didn't have a whole lot of bulk to it, so I just wrapped it around itself about 2 times, and then I hot glued that to the middle of my sign. And I did grab 2 little sprigs off of another greenery piece that I had, and I just hot glued those down to the very top, so each piece kind of went the opposite direction. And then I grabbed these red berries that came from a pack from Dollar Tree, and I hot glued those all over the sign, just really wherever. I just kind of placed them in a random, in random spots. No rhyme or reason to how I did it. I just put them down. So nothing too complicated. Lastly, I'm going to hot glue this pre-made bow that I got in a pack from Walmart, and I just glued that right to the top of our little wreath. And that is it for this DIY. So easy. This DIY took me maybe 15 to 20 minutes tops. I mean, the longest part was just painting. Everything else, super easy. And that is it for this DIY. That's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which project was your favorite in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe before you guys leave. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!